This is the Chaos Blade, and it's one of the most powerful weapons in all of the Forge. In order to craft it though, you'll need to gather some of the rarest ores in the entire game, with drop rates as low as 1 in 6,000. And of course, in order to even get to the caves where these ores can be found, you first need to acquire gear strong enough to fight the mobs that guard them. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that even once you do gather all the materials needed to craft this sword, you still only have a 1 in 16 chance to actually craft the right version of it. So yeah, getting this thing is an insane grind, but today, I'm gonna do it. And the first step is to get off this tutorial island. So I gotta make my way into the caves here, mine a couple of pebbles, forge a weapon and some armor, and boom, we're on to the real first island now. And now that I'm here, my first goal is to upgrade to the cobalt pickaxe because the current tutorial one that I'm using isn't even going to be strong enough to break the rocks on this island. Luckily for me though, I only need 10k to purchase it, and I already have almost 9,000 saved up from the tutorial. So if I just do this quick little fetch quest and bring the box on my back to this guy over here, yep, that pushes me over the edge and I can now afford the cobalt pickaxe. And first rock on island 2, we get some cobalt and lapis lazuli, which should be helpful for crafting some better gear. And speaking of better gear, let me actually try out this weapon I have from the first island still on these new enemies. Yeah, it's literally doing like 0 damage. So we are going to have to get this thing upgraded as fast as possible. And of course, the only way to actually get a better sword is to mine the resources to forge one. So I got to work on doing exactly that. Only a couple of rocks in though, something kind of crazy happened. Oh my god! We just got a legendary eye ore 1 in 1,300 chance on like my 4th rock on this new island. I think that's kind of crazy. Yeah, a 1 in 1,300 ore when I had literally just started mining is kind of insane, and was also going to be very helpful for some upgrades in the future. For now though, I spent a few more minutes mining enough rocks to finish collecting the basic ores I needed for my weapon upgrade, and then made my way over to the forging area. And just in case there's anyone watching that has never actually played the Forge before, I'll give a quick rundown of the process that it takes to create any new weapon or armor piece. So first, you select which ores you actually want to forge with the ore type determining the strength of the gear and the number of ores determining which gear piece you actually will get. In this case, I selected 6 lapis lazuli, which will give me a 1.3x multiplier and the highest chance to obtain a straight sword. And then I click on the forge button, which will start the forging minigame itself. Starting with this initial section where you move the pumper up and down to smelt the ores. Next, you need to balance an indicator inside of this bar as it constantly moves up and down to pour out the smelted ores. Then you break the mold by just quickly clicking on it a couple of times. And finally, you complete your item by timing your clicks on these little circles to weld it. And then, depending on how well you performed on all these mini games, you'll get a percentage grade on your item. Give me that 100%. Come on. Let me see it. 100%. Let's go. Full lapis sword, 19.5 damage. Now, it probably is going to be a little bit slower attack speed-wise than the dagger. But let's see. Oh, 5 damage, 0.35 attack speed. So it's 4 times as much damage, and it's not even like that much slower, to be honest. So we definitely take that. I still had some extra ores after this though, so I threw them all into the forge once again and crafted myself a much improved helmet, and then made my way back into the mine so that I could get back to grinding. And this time, since I had just made some nice upgrades to my gear, I decided to try and push a little deeper into the cave so that I could get access to a better type of rock called basalt core that would give me a much higher chance of obtaining good ores. But after only mining a couple of these, I was already on the verge of dying to the stronger enemies that patrolled this area. So clearly, I was gonna need even more upgrades before I'd be able to explore these deeper areas of the mines. And so I spent the next couple of hours with my focus solely on that, repeatedly filling my inventory with as many ores as it could hold, and then dumping them all into the forge to craft better stuff. With the main upgrade that I had in mind being a heavy chestplate crafted from some of the best ores that I currently had access to. The problem with that though is even after putting more than 30 of these ores into the forge, it still only gave me about a 50% chance to obtain that chest plate. And so, as you might already be able to guess, that craft didn't go my way. But no big deal. I still had a bunch of some slightly weaker ores, so this time I put in 50 of them, giving me an 84% chance of getting that chest plate. And we got leggings again. So now I was rocking some extremely powerful leggings in combination with basically the tutorial chest plate. Not ideal. Luckily for me though, there was still a different upgrade I could try for, because in the process of gathering all these ores for the armor, I had also managed to get a couple more of those 1 in 1300 eye ores that gave a very high multiplier. So I combined these in the forge with a few of a slightly less powerful ore that I also had to try and create an improved weapon for myself. And then I just had to pray that this time around I wouldn't get screwed on my 80% odds. I'm full focus mode, guys. I am full. Oh my god, that was perfect. Okay. Okay, that looks like a straight sword, right? Oh yeah. Nice. So we didn't get totally screwed on odds. Oh my god, it didn't click. Oh my gosh. All that just for me to troll on the final minigame. I'm gonna be honest, I definitely just wasn't clicking in the right spot. 86%. You know what? It's okay. But at least we got the cutlass this time. It could be much worse. I have no idea why my brain chose that moment to malfunction, but still a huge upgrade here, okay? Right now, we're working with this lapis lazuli falchion, which does 19.5 damage, and this eye ore cutlass we're upgrading to now does 56.3 damage, and it also has these two effects down here. This one, okay, actually lowers my health by 10%, so that's actually a negative of it, but the other perk here increases my physical damage by 15%, so overall, this should be a much better weapon here. Let's actually head over to the mines and test it out right now. All right, where's an enemy here? We got the skeleton rogues. These guys are pretty weak. Oh, we two-shot them now. Oh my gosh. Okay, now we need to find an axe skeleton as well, because those guys would give me a bit of trouble before. Oh, here we go. We've got one right here. Let's see. Oh, wow. I actually almost two-shot those as well. It had just a little bit of health left after that second hit, I think. But that is still a crazy difference compared to before. Here, we got another one here. Let's go ahead and test it out. Let's see. Oh, he stunned me there. Yeah, just a little bit of health left after the second hit, but this weapon will definitely be making my life a lot easier. Of course, though, we do still have the problem with my chest plate, and I'm definitely going to need to mine up a bunch of ores once again now in order to have enough to try again at crafting one. If possible, though, I'd kind of prefer to upgrade my pickaxe again before I do that, because it took me long enough to get those ores the first time. I really don't want to have to do it another time at that speed. But I haven't really been able to find a way of making money quickly yet, and I think I need 22,000 for the next pickaxe upgrade, so I'm still a ways away from that. So maybe it's time for me to do a bit of research here and see if I can't figure out how to get rich quick. My research into money-making schemes didn't exactly produce the results I was expecting though, because the universal advice was to just take all of your extra ores, dump them into the forge, and then sell whatever armor piece you got out of it. And on top of that, it was actually recommended to skip the $22,000 pickaxe I was currently going for, and instead just save up $67,000 to skip directly to the mythril pickaxe. Oh, and I also found out that literally 0% of you watching this video right now are subscribed. So if you're enjoying it so far, consider changing that. Anyways, given this new information, it was clear that I was going to be using my current cobalt pickaxe for quite a bit longer. So I decided to make use of a part of the game that I actually hadn't even touched yet, called runes, which are essentially just little upgrades that you can apply to your items. And luckily for me, I had already gotten a few of these just passively playing the game. So I spent a few thousand to add some to my pickaxe that would increase its mining speed and power. And then I also made my way over to the forge to craft my first piece of armor using my extra ores that I would sell to the merchant to make a little bit of money. Or so I thought, because after making a heavy chest plate, I realized that this thing was obviously way better than the tutorial one I was still wearing. So I actually ended up equipping this new one and selling my old one to the merchant for a couple $100 back. And now, since I once again felt like I had made some pretty significant upgrades to my setup, I wanted to test them out. Unfortunately though, while I had been hoping that the runes I added to the pickaxe were going to be the big upgrade, it honestly seemed like the chest plate had the much more noticeable impact. Because now, I could hardly even tell that the mobs in this area of the cave were doing any damage to me, and I could even kind of hold my own against the next tier of enemy called Death Axe Skeletons, which actually allowed me to get to some better mining spots a bit deeper in the cave. While on the other hand, the rate that I was able to mine the rocks at seemed basically the same, and to demonstrate that, here's a side-by-side comparison of me mining a basalt core before and after the upgrades. Obviously slightly faster after the fact, but not that crazy for an upgrade that cost me over $6,000. Even if I wasn't happy with the results of this upgrade though, it didn't change the fact that I was stuck with this pickaxe until I could save up $67,000, so it was time to focus on getting my money up. And like I explained previously, the best way to do that was just going to be forging armor pieces with my junk ores and then selling those armor pieces to the merchant. I could also make a little bit of extra money on the side from completing quests and killing mobs, but if I wanted to save up the money as fast as possible, the armor strat was going to be the key. So after a little bit of mining, I dumped about 50 of my extra ores into the forge and made a chest plate, which the merchant gave me 1.3 thousand for. Which, considering I still needed another 50,000 to be able to buy the mythril pickaxe, I realized I was in for a long grind. But I had a lot of long grinds ahead of me if I was ever planning on crafting the Chaos Blade. So I mined a bunch of ores, crafted some armor, sold that armor, and repeated the process over and over and over, watching my bank account slowly but surely creep up in value while also getting the occasional armor upgrade for myself. And nearly 5 hours later, I had finally saved up enough money. And so we just barely have enough now to buy the mythril pickaxe. I'm just $300 over. But then here we go. Mythril pickaxe purchased. Look at that. The purple looks insane. Oh, and you know what though? I think I'll be able to sell my old cobalt pickaxe now and get 7,500 back for it actually. So that's pretty good. And now, of course, with this upgraded pickaxe, I should be able to break the next tier of rock here, which is these basalt veins. Yes, I can. Let's go. The HP on these rocks is kind of crazy though. They have almost 3,000, but obviously the ores that I'm going to get out of them should be way better because of that. Yeah, you can already see a new one there, an epic ruby. I have not been able to get that up until this point. Oh, and maybe even the best part out of getting this new pickaxe is that because I can mine these basalt veins now, I can actually get down into like the highest tier area out of the entire island, which eventually, once I break these two things here, I'll be able to enter now. And yeah, you can see up top, this is called the volcanic depths. Unfortunately, my pickaxe still isn't strong enough to break the volcanic rocks that are down here, which are actually what I'll eventually need to mine to get the ores that I want to craft the Chaos Blade. But there are a couple basalt veins down here, so I could still use this area to mine those. The mobs down here are crazy strong though. Like, this slime is about to kill me, and this isn't even the strongest thing that can spawn down here. So yeah, probably not going to be able to do too much mining down here, but still a cool preview of what's to come eventually once I get some more upgrades. Or so I thought, because as it would turn out, there was actually an area here that was the best spot to mine basalt veins in basically the entire game. But it wasn't anywhere you'd expect. In fact, it wasn't even technically in the volcanic depths, because this quote-unquote god spot was actually the entrance that you have to mine through to get in here. You see, if you just sit right at the top here and hold down left click on your mouse, you can essentially mine these two basalt veins infinitely. And on top of that, this spot is also completely safe from mobs, so you'll never have to worry about being attacked by anything while mining. The one downside to this though is that because the spot is so good, there's always going to be a little bit of competition for it. So usually you'll end up fighting a bit with some other players over the rocks. Despite that though, this was still going to be the best area for me to farm at by far until I could save up 100,000 for my next pickaxe upgrade. And I wish I could say that something super interesting happened to me while grinding for this next upgrade, but the reality reality is that for the next 7 hours, I kind of just sat here and mined these same 2 rocks. Occasionally taking a quick break whenever my inventory filled to craft some armor, but that was basically it until I had saved up that 100k for my biggest upgrade yet. All right, so I have been doing a ton of grinding. We're over $100,000 saved now, which means I'm getting close to the next pickaxe upgrade, which will allow me to finally mine like the best rocks in the entire game right now. But the pickaxe I'm going to be upgrading to actually can't be bought at the shop here. In order to get to it, I'm gonna have to go back to the first island and do a special quest. And so to start that quest, I gotta come over to the campfire here and talk to this bard guy who wants me to find his guitar, which usually could be a bit of a challenge, but thankfully I have access to the internet, and so I already looked it up, and once I come inside here, I will be able to immediately grab it. And so then I can head back out and give this man his guitar, and he'll give me a new item called the unknown key. So we're gonna once again go back into the cave that I just left. And I think on the right somewhere over here there should be a locked door, looks like back here, and with that new key I should be able to open this place up now. And in the back here you will see the arcane pickaxe for 125,000, which of course I actually still don't have enough money to afford, but I have a bit of a plan for that. And so for the first step of that plan here, if I go to the shop and keep scrolling, I'll be able to go back to the race menu that we initially had at the very beginning of this game. And the reason I'm going to this menu is because this goblin race that you can see on the right side here at a 10.5% chance, if I can roll that for myself, it'll give me, I think, a 12% discount off of like everything in the game. And I don't even necessarily have to get rid of my elf race that I'm currently using with the 7% luck boost to do that, because I can just click on my other race slot here that just has human here and re-roll on this one. Which, yes, I have 10 re-rolls at the bottom of my screen here, but I did not pay to win to get those. In fact, last week when I began the video, I didn't show you guys this, but there was a code I was able to enter to give me all 10 of those re-rolls. And lucky for me, the grinding for this video is taking long enough that another event has actually started. And so if I open the settings menu here and type in the code FORG exclamation point, I can get another 10 rerolls. So now if I go back to the race menu, we have 20 spins. So yeah, if I can't get a 10.5% race somehow with these, we're in trouble. Let's get started rerolling though. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. All right, of course, we're going to get elf again right off the bat, which I already have unlocked. So not even going to consider keeping that one, just immediately going to re-roll it. And we get human. Of course, the default one. Don't want that either. Immediate re-roll. Human again. All right, not the best start for me here. Just going to re-roll again. Okay. Human 3 times in a row now is kind of absurd. Please give me something different. Preferably goblin, but anything different. All right, zombie. I mean, at least it's not the default, but this is still not a good race at all. So we're immediately re-rolling that. Ooh, okay. My first rare one, we've got orc. Looking at the perks of this one, though, I would rather save my elf for now. So we're just going to re-roll this again. All right, we've got undead this time. And this one looks pretty cool. But again, the perks are not really anything I'm looking for right now. So I'm hitting a reroll. And after a few more rerolls with still no goblin in sight, I was starting to get worried that I wasn't going to get this thing. Down to only 6 rerolls left. Please, I need this goblin race. Human, not what I need. Come on. Please. Oh, yes. Yes, there we go. We got goblin. Only 4 rerolls to spare. That was a little bit more difficult than I thought, but there you go. Look at the race perks. Bargain, 12% discount when shopping. So now if I exit out of here, I guess it's still going to show up as 125,000, but yeah, if I go to purchase it, only 110,000 gold. So I'm just about 4,000 gold away from being able to afford it, which should be easy enough to get. I could literally just mine enough again to forge 2 more pieces of armor, and that would do it for me. But I also have this quest from Captain Rowan over on the left side of my screen here that I'm pretty close to completing. And so I'm thinking if I just go ahead and finish this up, it might give me enough gold to be able to afford it as well. So I'm gonna try it out here. 17 more Death Axe skeletons probably will take me a little bit of time to do, but I think it'll still be just a bit faster than mining. And there's the last one finally. I think I misinterpreted spawn rates a little bit because that took way longer than I thought it was going to. Oh, and look at this now. Of course, 3 of them are gonna spawn in now right when I don't need them anymore. Perfect time for spawn rates to fix. And of course, that's also still not quite the end of this quest because I am missing 2 elite rogue skeleton kills as well. But this part of it should be super, super easy. Just got to get back down to the volcanic depths first here. And we got to find some elite rogue skeletons. You are not what I'm looking for. Of course, it's going to be everything except the elite rogue skeletons down here, isn't it? I guess this is what I get for trying to be smart and not just doing the mining. Okay, here's one. Oh, and I see one more over there. I gotta sneak past the rest of these mobs to get to it, though. Here it is. All right. Oh, come on. Don't kill me. One more hit. Boom. Okay. Head over to Captain Rowan. I mean, look at it. I'm only $600 away. If I somehow don't get enough money from this quest to get to the 110K, I'm gonna have an insane crash out. There we go. Turned it in. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. We got, like, almost $10,000 from that. Okay, so that was definitely worth it. And here we go. Arcane pickaxe for 110,000 gold. Let's go. This thing looks so sick, too. Look at that. And now, of course, the reason this was such a hyped up purchase for me is because what it's gonna allow me to break here. So one more time, let me get down into the volcanic depths here. Already though, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to notice it from the video, but I am mining these basalt veins so much faster than I was with my last mythril pickaxe. All right, and then when we get down here, I can go over to the volcanic. Oh, of course I'm gonna get fought here now. Oh, of course, I'm probably gonna die to these things right now. 1 second, please. Don't kill me. I'm trying to just show this off for the video. All right, I made it over to the safe little island, but now, here we go. The volcanic rock. I couldn't mine these before, but now, of course, we can. And yeah, with this now, believe it or not, we are kind of in the end game of getting the Chaos Blade. One problem that I'm noticing immediately, though, and that you guys might notice as well right there, is the mobs in this area are way stronger than before, so it might be time for some more gear upgrades. The armor that I was currently using, though, was already crafted with basically the best ores that you could get in the other areas, so the only way to upgrade my gear was gonna be through getting some new ores from the volcanic rocks. And while the mobs here were definitely capable of killing me at literally any moment, as long as I played super cautiously, I could mostly survive. And that was enough for me, so it was volcanic rock time. Which means that it was now actually a possibility for me to get the ores that I would need for my Chaos Blade. The first of these being Magmaite, an ore with a 1 in 3,000 drop chance that I would need 2 of. And the second of these being Darkrite, an ore with a 1 in 6,000 drop chance that I would need 5 of. And even once I've collected all of these, it's still going to be a long shot for me to actually get the Chaos Blade first try, but we'll revisit that later. Anyways though, as I started mining volcanic rocks, I ended up learning a lot about different ways to optimize this grind. For one, volcanic rocks are kinda a rare spawn, so instead of fully breaking them each time, it was actually better to break them a little more than halfway, look what ores were inside, and then decide if it was worth fully breaking. Because of that though, it was now very important that if a Darkrite or any other rare ore were inside, that I'd be able to see it. But these volcanic rocks have a texture that makes the ores kind of blend in. So another good method here was to turn your graphics settings all the way down to make sure all ores would be visible. And so with these two things combined, it results in the optimal strat just being to find 2 or 3 volcanic rocks and infinitely bounce between them until you finally get something good. And this strat did work pretty good because within an hour or so, I had already gotten my first super rare ore. And after a couple more hours, I had made some big upgrades to both my armor and weapon. And then, after more than 4 hours of volcanic rock mining, the biggest moment of this entire video, up until this point, finally happened. Oh my gosh, this was like so unnoticeable back here, but I think that's a darkrai, right? It's gonna be my very first one ever. If it actually is one. I don't even know what I'm looking for because I've never got one, but I think that's what it's supposed to look like. We're about to find out here. One more hit. Let's go, Mythic Darkrai. I finally got my first one. One Darkrai every 3 to 4 hours of mining is definitely not going to cut it though. So I'm going to have to make some improvements to the setup I'm currently using. But luckily for me, I've been doing some research and I think I have some good ideas as to how I can do that. All right, so I have just gotten done going through a massive spreadsheet that has basically completely reworked everything I thought was the proper way to have a mining setup in this game. And so to try and counteract me being almost 24 hours into my playthrough and having literally a single Darkrai right now, I'm going to follow the steps on this spreadsheet to try and maximize my setup. And the first and most important thing I need to do that is get this dwarf class down here that is a 7% chance. I sadly only had 4 rerolls remaining though, and wasn't lucky enough to hit those 7% odds with them. So I had to make a small 600 Robux purchase since there's no other way to get rerolls, and thankfully was able to roll the dwarf class almost immediately with those. Oh! There we go. Yes, dwarf. We got it. That did not take long at all. I honestly could have gotten by with just the 5 rerolls instead of 10, but we've got a couple extra now. I'm not mad at it. But yeah, if you actually look on the left here at the perks of this race, there is this plus 15% mining damage in the second perk, as well as this 20% chance to deal 50% damage to rocks in this third perk. And these two things combined are going to massively increase the efficiency of my mining. And then the next thing that the spreadsheet explains is how to correctly attach runes to your pickaxe, which in my case, the optimal combination for me would be 1 mining speed rune and 2 mining power runes. Naturally though, I was missing 1 mining power rune, so I just had to take a quick detour and go grind a few mobs to drop another one. Or so I thought, because 40 minutes later, I had dropped basically every type of rune in the game except a mining power one. But right when I was ready to just give up any hope, this happened. Okay, miner shard. I get so excited every time it says swift mine. Oh no, there it is, mine power. Let's go, we got it. Oh my gosh. I thought that was gonna take like 15 minutes and it took me almost an hour, so that is insane. And then the final thing that I needed was thankfully a pretty simple one. I just had to head over to the potion shop and purchase some luck potions and speed potions that would also buff my mining capabilities. And then we gotta get down into the volcanic depths here and try out this new setup, because it better be crazy for all the work and money I just put into it. All right, I am only seeing this one volcanic rock down here for the moment though, and in order for this to work optimally, I think I need access to 3 of those. So I'm gonna need to go around and just keep breaking down some of these other rocks until they respawn as the volcanic rock. Oh, there we go. All right, we got 3 volcanic rocks over here. Oh, we actually have 4 over here. Oh my god, 5 over here. That is crazy. All right, well, this is like the perfect setup for this then. So let me go ahead, pop a miner potion. And then I'm going to pop a luck potion as well. And we'll get started and see how this goes. I can definitely feel the difference in speed and power here compared to before for sure. And I actually almost forgot. I gotta go ahead and turn my graphics quality all the way down again so I can see the Darkrai. So yeah, I guess let's see how long it takes me to get my second Darkrai now. Hopefully it's not another like 5 to 6 hours or whatever it took me last time. I didn't have to wait long at all though, because literally just 20 minutes into trying out this new strat, this happened. Boom! There we go. Mythic Darkrai found already. Yeah, you can see I'm only on my 3rd set of potions here, so it has genuinely been like 15 minutes since I started mining. So I think it's safe to say that these upgrades were worth the grind. And so with this new setup, I was able to easily grind out my 3rd, 4th, and 5th Darkrai in basically no time at all, which meant that I now had everything I needed to make my first attempt at crafting the Chaos Blade. So let's head into the forge here. I gotta put all 5 darkright in, as well as 2 magmite. And so, of course, that gives me a 74% chance at a straight sword, which is what I'm going for. But then once we hit this, I only have a 1 in 16 chance at getting the Chaos Blade. So gotta cross my fingers that this is going to work out. A multiplier of 5.93, though. That is ridiculous. Whew. All right, gotta make sure I'm locked in and ready to go for the perfect forge here. Let's do this thing. I'm gonna be like full silent during this because I don't want to mess up at all, so let's lock in. And up until this point, the run was looking really good, but then it was time to reveal what kind of blade it was gonna be, and it wasn't the shape of a Chaos Blade, so my hopes were already crushed before we even finished this forge. Let's see, do I at least get the 100% forge on it? 94%. I honestly don't know what I messed up there. We did get the straight sword, though. That is nice, but unfortunately, not the Chaos Blade, the 1 in 16 on my first attempt. But that might have been asking for too much, to be honest. And then the real letdown hit when I went to compare it to the sword I was currently using, and the damage was literally lower. When I went to test it, though, I did find out that it has like some explosion ability on it that definitely made it an improvement over the weapon I was currently using. But of course, this wasn't the weapon I was hunting for anyway. That was the Chaos Blade, so it was time to get back to work. Unfortunately, though, those mining optimizations I had just made turned out to be a little bit overrated because it took me over 6 hours to get just my next 4 darkright. Like, I'm genuinely at 32 hours of playtime right now, and I think I was only at 25 or 26 maybe during the last craft. And I'm not really even sure what the problem here was, because over the course of this same 6 hours, I managed to drop nearly 20 of another really rare ore called demonite. But regardless, because of this change in my luck, I decided it was also going to be necessary to change my approach to forging the Chaos Blade. First, for my next attempt, I would be using just 4 darkright instead of 5, because after some research, I found out that it only makes like less than a 1% difference in damage anyways. And then the bigger change on top of that is that if this darkright attempt fails, I'm also gonna start allowing myself to do some crafts with demonite instead, because it's just a tiny bit weaker than darkright, and if I don't, it might genuinely take me over 100 hours to get this Chaos Blade. Anyway though, let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4 darkright and 2 magmaite. This is actually even better as well because it gives me an 86% chance of a straight sword again, as opposed to like the 74% I had when I used 5 darkright. So yeah, let me make sure I'm ready for this. Let's lock in. Here we go. Come on. I know a 1 in 16 chance of a Chaos Blade is gonna be a long shot, but if we could pull it off somehow, it would be amazing. Gonna have to limit my talking once again during this part, just to focus. All right, that was pretty good. Here we go. The reveal, please. That's not a Chaos Blade. Which meant that now, of course, it was time to move on to trying out some demonite forges. And on attempt number 1, not a Chaos Blade. Attempt number 2, also not a Chaos Blade. Attempt number 3, still not a Chaos Blade. And after that failure, I only had enough demonite for 1 more shot at it. If this one wasn't the Chaos Blade, I was gonna have to go back for probably another 6 hours of mining at minimum. And to be honest with you, my hopes for this one were kind of in the gutter. But then, this happened. Come on, wait, it looks different. Oh, I think that's it. I think we actually got it. Oh my god. I need to lock in. Of course, we get a great on the first one. That is not ideal. I gotta get the highest quality possible. Oh my god. I think that's actually the Chaos Blade. Please, come on. The Chaos Blade, 100%. Let's go. Oh my gosh. We actually got it. It's dark out in the game right now, but let me equip it. Oh my gosh. That thing looks insane. And you know that we, of course, gotta go test this thing out, right? All right, first mob down here with my new Chaos Blade. Oh my gosh, we're gonna take on 2 at once. This will be a really good test. Whoa. Yo! We just melted through those things. Oh my gosh. I did take quite a bit of damage there, but to be fair, I was fighting 3 mobs at once. I want to go ahead and allow myself to regen all the way back up, and then I want to fight this guy over here, though. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but that is the Reaper mob. I haven't even fought one of them yet up until this point in the video, because every time I do, they just completely destroy me. It's like, what's the point in showing that? But maybe with the Chaos Blade on my side now, we might actually have a shot at it. All right, here we go. My health is like fully regened up again. I'm gonna go in for it. These guys' attacks are like impossible to try and dodge here, so I'm gonna do my best here. He already hit me with the stun there. Bro, my hits are doing so much. Look at that. I only lost like half my HP there, and usually those things absolutely annihilate me. Let's see, like these little weaker ones here, I might even be able to like, oh, I can 2-shot those now. No, this sword is absolutely ridiculous. That was well worth the 32-hour grind. And this grind took so long that they've actually released another island since I started. So let me know if you guys want to see me go for another crazy item.